Hello, everybody. I see it's time and everybody's here. That's fine. So let me put quickly all your assistances in the list. Everybody can hear me all right?
Yes.
Okay, that's good.
Yes.
Okay. So don't forget to read the announcement I put on Canvas about the exam you have tomorrow. There is also a guide of everything you have to study. Somebody wrote me with a comment like, yeah, but I don't find everything, but certain topics are in the same module in Canvas. So usually if you check well, you will find everything. And then for the exam as well, I do recommend you for the exam. I told you before, but I think it's important to repeat myself. Is that make your own documents, guys? This is something that is really important, and you will start noticing now, especially in second partial. The content will become more. It's annoying and it's time consuming to find information in Canvas, in the presentations, in the book, in the activities we did. Make your own bundle of things. If you don't like writing, print it or do whatever you want, but make your own syllabus, to say it like that, you know. Join the own your information, make your own book, let's say. Join your information. And as I also said before, is why is it like this is because that's how it works. This is what we are instructed to. We need you to teach to find information in different sources and bundle it, because that's what you will do all your life. If I look at my job, I have to get information everywhere. It's not that they give me a book with how to be director of multicultural program. Here it is. There, this is everything you have to do. It doesn't work like that. I have to consult people. I have to consult books. I have to consult things that come from the centralized area in Monterey. So that's how life works, you know. And more it is like this because there is more and more sources of information nowadays. If you look with internet and online books and physical books and I don't know what else, there is so much going on. So please keep that in mind, and please follow my advice, because the exam is tomorrow. uh, and like I said last lesson, it's about 55%, and you might already feel that it's a lot, but think about that. It's only half. So for the final exam, it will be almost double of what you have now. And if you have to get all that information again from all the sources in the end, you will lose so much time, and it will not be fun anymore. So do that from now on, and you will do fine. However, I have a lot of confidence in this group because you have all excellent grades. You're all doing fine. So I think, yeah, keep on doing what you do, keep on following the advice, and I'm sure you will do fine. Um, then before we start, what will we do today? We will have a look at the cell cycle. Cell cycle is something very important, guys, because the cell cycle is in fact the lifespan of a cell. And a disease of today that is very important today because many people die of it. It's cancer. And this cancer is very closely related to the cell cycle. We will see that partly today, but further on we will have a closer look in what cancer really is. And if you want to understand cancer, you have to understand the cell cycle. Before that, I just want to make some comments. I'm not going to show you any articles today. I just want to tell you a little bit about coronavirus again. Um, I think that you noticed already that the Coahuila as a state changed again from traffic light yellow. They turned back to traffic light orange, which means that there is more cases. It's more critical. So this means that it becomes even more unlikely that you will ever go to campus this semester. Okay. I don't want to be pessimistic about it, but I don't see it happening anymore. You know, I really think that it will become really complicated because we're in orange, it has to change to yellow. And when it's in yellow, it has to change to green. And once it's green, we still take the Monterrey still waits 2 weeks before we could even go. So my message is in fact that if you think about biology, like how is life surviving the best? And it's not because we're the strongest, and even if we think we're the smartest, maybe we're not, because we're destroying the natural world. But we know that organisms that can survive the best is their level of adaptability, so how much they can absorb change. And I think we have to do the same, you know. I mean, nobody knows what's exactly happening with this coronavirus. It could still take one more year. I mean, I don't want to be negative. I don't want to give you bad vibes or anything. It's really not the objective. But I think we should start thinking in both ways, okay? Because we have been doing, everybody has been doing that, at least around in my environment, is like everybody thinks like, yeah, it will all go back to normal. What if we start thinking about what if it's not going back to normal? Okay, what if this is our new life and this will take another longer time, and maybe next semester it will still be online? I don't know, guys. I'm not saying it will be the case, but I'm just want to tell you that you should consider this option. I also don't want it to be like this, but I don't, in case it will be the case, then I don't want to come it as a big shock, you know. And I think it's the best to be honest about it. I don't want this. I don't have any news about this. Tec de Monterrey has nothing said about this, but I just think it's honest to say, because it doesn't really look well. I mean, have you read the news that they stopped all the vaccine trials? Johnson and Johnson, another company in the United States, in Belgium, in Germany, they stopped it because they discovered something they don't like. There is people getting ill of side effects, unexplainable illnesses of the vaccine, and they don't know yet. I mean, everybody was super optimistic some months ago. No, in October we will have a vaccine. If it's not in October, for sure in November. I don't see it happening this year, guys. And it's, again, I'm not pessimistic. I just want to tell you the truth, you know. Somebody has to tell you, let's hope for the best, but we should be prepared for the worst as well. And that's what I want to tell you. And that doesn't mean that our life is bad or it's sad. We can do something with this, you know. We can be happy, and we can handle this, you know. But start thinking in two ways, because I mean, it's not going back to normal as fast as we would like, and it's not going back to normal when we want it. So it could take a little bit longer than we all thought, or maybe it never will. Who knows? I also don't know. But I think it's important that I tell you this, because I know a bit more about all this than maybe you do. And yeah, I think we have to talk about it a little bit now and then, okay? So, but don't be sad about it. We'll do fine, and like I said, we can adapt to everything because we're strong people, and there is opportunities coming with every bad thing. So we just have to identify these opportunities and make the best of it, okay? So what are we going to do today is the cell cycle, guys. The cell cycle is something interesting, and I'm not going to let you do this activity on your own. I decided this is something I would like to do together. So in the chat, I'm going to quickly pass to you a link of the interactive page, which is Click Cell Cycle. And I share it with you, and you can immediately see it. You can install it, or you can launch the online version if you want. That's also an option. Okay. And then what we want to do is basically, it's too big. What we want to do is solve some questions about it, which I have right here, and we're going to solve it together. Okay. So I thought it would be nice to do something together for a change, instead of you doing it on your own. Okay. So, but please, I invite you to in the link in the chat, click on it, open this thing, and start having a look at it, and then we will have a look at it together. Okay. Before we start with this, is there anybody who wants to comment something about what I just said, or we're good?
Yesterday, I saw in the news that a woman and I don't know, a man, is infected with influenza and COVID at the same time.
Okay, and how is he doing? I didn't see that one.
I don't know, but I mean, that's really scary.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, I think you already have to have a strong organism to beat both things at the same time. I didn't see that news, but now you told me, I'm going to look for it to see if there's something we can learn. Another news that I saw was that there was a woman in the Netherlands that she was infected with coronavirus one time. She was fine, she recovered, she got infected for a second time, and now she passed away because of the second time infection. So, I mean, is this worth of panicking? Not really, but it means that the options are broader than we thought. So there's a lot of people that already got coronavirus and say, no, I was without symptoms, I'm gonna be fine. No, no, you don't know that. You could have had coronavirus and you could be fine one time, and the next time you could be as sick as a dog. I mean, that counts for us as well. So, I mean, some of you had already coronavirus, but yeah, I would not recommend to get it twice. I mean, it's never good to get viruses in your body. They do nasty things with you, in fact. Um, so avoid it as much as you can. Um, so let's start with this thing, okay? So I have shared here with you the cell cycle, okay? Looks complex, but it is simple. You also see it on my background. It's like a circle, and the circle represents the life of a cell, okay? Very simple. It's a timeline, let's say, okay? From the birth until the cell splits, let's say, okay? It's circular because it goes around and around and around and around. It goes forever, let's say, until the organism dies. That's why it's circular. Okay. So what do we have here is we have a G1 phase, which you can see here, a G0 phase, which I explain later. We have a S phase, a G2 phase, and an M phase. So let's have a look at the life of a cell. A baby cell, which is just born, came out of another cell, starts in the beginning of the G1 phase. And G1 stands for growth 1. Okay, so this is the phase that the cell is small and it starts growing. It starts developing its cell organelles. It may duplicate its cell organelles in case it's necessary. And at a certain point in this growth and development, it reaches a checkpoint. Okay, those checkpoints are to check if everything is okay. If it's not okay, the cell stops there. Okay, but if it passes the checkpoint, I come back to that in a moment, then it goes to S phase. And S phase means synthesis phase. Synthesis phase means this is the moment that the cell decides to have children. But before it wants to have children, it needs to duplicate its DNA. And that's why it's called synthesis, because it's synthesizing DNA in order to have double amount of DNA so that the cell can split later in two, and each cell would have like the normal amount of DNA. Okay. Okay, so this is when, okay, let's say this is a baby. On the end of G1 phase, you're in adolescence or young adult phase. Here, the cell decides, I want to split, I want to have children, I want to divide. So it's going to prepare its DNA in order to split. And then when the DNA is copied, it goes in the G2 phase. And what happens in the G2 phase, which stands for growth 2 phase, is the moment that the cell is basically preparing to split. So what it's going to do, it's going to prepare everything so it can start dividing. Okay. Okay, so that happens in the G2. And then the division itself, this is what we call mitosis. This is the M phase, okay? You see that every phase of the cell cycle from G1, S, G2, and M, they all have checkpoints. And that's what we see in a moment, okay? So this is the brief overview of the cell cycle. Let's go now a little bit more in depth. And let's have a look at the first questions, because it's nice by doing the questions, you will understand more and more about the subject. So I put in the chat the first question, and you should have the application open on your computer, and you can help me look for the answers. Okay, so here is the question. I put it in the chat. Why is cell division important for both single-celled and multicellular organisms? Okay. This answer, we can find it here in the background, okay? The background tells us everything about the cell cycle. So who can read this, Gael, please? Cell division is essential to life.
Cell division is essential to life. Cell division is the only way single-celled organisms can reproduce. Multicellular organisms need cell division to grow and to replace dead or damaged cells. In humans, many types of cells divide. For example, repeated divisions allow a single fertilized egg cell to develop into an adult with more than 37 trillion cells. After growth, division remains important in normal cell turnover, such as in our skin and gut, where cells are continuously renewed. Other cells have to divide to heal wounds like skin cuts or broken bones. Learn more about cell division in the following slides by pressing the arrow in the top right corner.
Okay.
You can close this tab to explore.
That's good. Good pronunciation you have, Gael. So we have the answer. Huh? So can you help me writing down the answer? So why is cell division important for both single-celled and multicellular organisms?
It is important so they can reproduce.
Yeah, single cell for
reproduction.
Yeah.
Yes.
In multi-cell?
To grow and to replace dead or damaged cells.
Also reproduction, okay.
Yes.
And grow, reproduction, and replace old or damaged cells. Okay, there is one word here that is important, turnover. Okay, why is turnover important? Because turnover means, in fact, the switching of cells. For example, a red blood cell have an average lifespan of 2 months only. That's the turnover. Cells, they don't die. Cells are programmed to die. This dying of a cell is called apoptosis, and this is the turnover. The turnover is good because we have certain places in our body. Let me give you the example of the intestines. The cells, they need to replace all the time because those cells, they're all the time in contact with things that damage them. Think about the meat you eat, about the chili you eat, the acids you eat. It's not good for the cells, okay? But certain things you need them. And even by eating the most healthy food you want, those cells get damaged. So they need to be replaced all the time. This is called the turnover, okay? So that you always have good quality cells so that they can do their job. That's why they need to be replaced. They have a short lifespan and they need to be replaced, okay? That's turnover, okay? And this turnover is very important because if we don't replace the cells, then the cells, they could change in bad cells, okay? Normally, a cell, like I just said, they don't die. They commit suicide. The suicide is called apoptosis. And if the cell does not commit suicide, then it might transform in a cell with uncontrolled growth. And this leads to cancer. But we will see that in a moment a little bit, in a little bit more detail. So the second question, why does cell division remain important to an adult organism, even if it's fully developed? I just told you. You want it in the chat? No, you can see it, right? So who can give me a more clear answer about this? In fact, it's 1 and 2 together. Itzel, do you know?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Why does cell division remain important to an adult organism, even if it's fully developed? It's very much linked to the first question.
Because they have to follow the cell cycle, they have to reproduce themselves so the cells can go on and go on.
Okay, okay, to keep on replacing
Other cells, yeah.
other cells.
And also you can heal wounds.
What did you say?
That it helps to wound healing.
Yeah, replace damaged cells.
To heal the wounds.
Cells, healing, repairing, all of these things. Okay? Okay. The third question is cells divide, differentiate, or die. Okay, that's what I already introduced, but I want to go a little bit more detail about this because it's very, very important that you understand this. Where's the chat? I lost the chat. There you are, chat. Great. So there's the question. And this differentiation, we can also see it here. So I'm going to invite Isabella Ann. Can you read what is cell divide, differentiate, or die?
Cells divide in response to specific molecular signals, typically from growth factors, but cells can also receive signals from other molecules that cause cells to differentiate or die.
Okay, and below?
Cells divide to produce two identical daughter cells. Cells stop dividing to specialize in structure and function, a process called differentiation. Once they're differentiated, some cells may divide again under certain conditions. Cells can also undergo programmed cell death or apoptosis, a process that eliminates unnecessary cells during development and removes unhealthy or damaged cells in the mature organism.
Okay, that's very important. In fact, what we have is, so cells, they can divide. Think, let's go back to the cell cycle, the circle you see behind me. When they go through the cell cycle, they divide in the end. Cells also differentiate. Okay, differentiation is basically when a baby cell becomes an adult cell, it will specialize in structure and function. So what does that mean? Specialize in structure and function. A bone cell will become a bone cell and its function will be structure because it will become bone. A skin cell will become skin, okay? Because that's its function. It will have function, structure of skin. If it's involved in metabolism, its function will be metabolizing nutrients, for instance, okay? That's differentiation. Differentiation refers to the fact that everybody is doing the job that they are assigned to, okay? That they're specialized in something, okay? And then die, be very careful with the word die, because like I said, cells, they do not die. Cells, they commit suicide, okay? And in fact, they don't commit suicide as such. We call that programmed cell death, okay? And that's very important because they are not like us, you know? It's not like a human being that dies all of a sudden. No, cells, whenever they are unable to do their function or their structure, to maintain their function of their structure, they decide to destroy themselves in order not to become a malignant cell, because that's exactly what cancer is about. It's a cell that is unable to kill himself, okay? It's a cell that keeps on dividing and dividing and dividing when it's not supposed to, and then you get a tumor. So that's why cancer is so important with the cell cycle, because something is wrong with the cell cycle. And cell cycle is controlled by checkpoints, those red marks you see here, okay? And those, we also saw it here in the background, those checkpoints, they are regulated by molecules, okay? Like you can see here. There are certain molecules that send signals, okay? Growth factors, and they say, okay, cell, you divide, okay, cell, you die, or cell, you do your function. And that's what the G0 is about. G0 is basically a cell that is deciding, I don't want to have any babies, I'm just going to be bone, or I'm just going to be heart cell, or I'm just going to be brain cell. Because especially the heart and nerve cells, they don't divide so much. They're so specialized in their function that they don't duplicate anymore. Okay, we come back to that in a second, but let's first answer this question. Cells divide, differentiate, or die, and what is differentiation? Very simple. Who can tell me that?
Me.
Yes.
When a cell specializes into a specific function instead of reproducing.
Yes, a very correct answer, Anna Paul, but be careful. A differentiated cell can still divide, okay? It's not always that they say, I'm not going to divide anymore. That could be okay. They can still do that. It's mainly heart cells and brain cells and nerve cells that don't divide that often. but basically a differentiated cell is every cell of your body. Differentiated means I have a skin cell, I have eye cell, I have lip cells, tongue cells, brain cells, eye cells, everything, you know, you name it, organ cells, liver cells, all of these cells that have a certain function because they're part of a certain system or a certain organ, they're differentiated. We have 37 trillion cells and maybe 30 trillion of them are completely differentiated, okay? So what is apoptosis, Ian Marco? You have any idea? We just said that, and what is its purpose? Are you there, Ian Marco?
Yes.
So what is apoptosis? It's going to be not in this second partial, but for sure you're going to get this in the exam. Eh? You have to know. We just said it. Somebody knows?
When a cell self-destroys itself when it no longer has a purpose or it no longer functions properly.
Yes. It's programmed cell death, or you can call it suicide of the cell, okay? And what is the purpose? The purpose is very simple. Cells are programmed to die because if they don't, then they might become malignant, okay? Its purpose is to eliminate old or damaged cells from the body and preventing them of becoming malignant, okay? And malignant is cancerous, okay? Cancerous cells. So that's why cell death is really, really, really close related to that. Okay, what are cell cycle regulators, guys? We already said that a little bit. So let's go back here if you want. So here you see the cell cycle, okay? Let's go over it again if you want. Growth 1, okay? Growth 1 phase, cell decides to grow, duplicates its organelles, and then you come at a checkpoint, okay? This checkpoint are certain molecules, cell cycle regulators to be exact, and these molecules, they check certain things. And here you can see what they check. There is no DNA damage? Okay, fine. Are there sufficient resources? Okay, fine. That's the checkpoint that those molecules do. That's what cell cycle regulators do. They check these two things. If the cell has no DNA damage, if it has sufficient resources, the cell cycle regulators say, okay, you can go to S2 phase, okay? And in not S2, S phase, then the cell goes in S phase. What is the S phase? The synthesis phase. We have seen that. The cell is going to duplicate its DNA, replicating the DNA, so that when it decides to divide, it has enough DNA for each cell, okay? So what happens here is the synthesis of DNA. So you also have a checkpoint here that is controlled by cell cycle regulators. What is the checklist of this cell cycle regulator? No errors during DNA replication, okay? So here the molecules, you have certain cell cycle regulators, which are molecules that are going to check, okay, is my DNA copied correctly? Yes. Okay. Then you can go to G2. No. What happens?
They go to G0.
They suicide?
Yes.
They go to G0.
No, they don't go to G0. It's somebody else.
They die. They suicide. They commit suicide.
They apoptosis.
Exactly. They do apoptosis. Whenever a checkpoint, the checklist is not complete, then the cell says, okay, we did a bad job, suicide. If this checkpoint is not correctly passed, cell goes into apoptosis. If this checkpoint is not correctly passed, cell goes in apoptosis, okay? Apoptosis is happening a lot, you know, it's a protection mechanism of the body in order to keep us healthy. And it's a really good thing because imagine that the DNA is not copied correctly. The cell, instead of duplicating, it's going to say, okay, we better die because otherwise we're going to give the mistakes to other cells and we don't want that. Okay, so the cell dies. Here in the G2, we also have a checkpoint, regulated by cell cycle regulators, which you have here, cell cycle regulators. And here the checklist is, okay, is all my DNA without damage? Yes, okay, let's go to mitosis. Are my chromosomes complete? Do I have a complete set of chromosomes? No chromosomes missing? Yes, okay, let's go to mitosis. Do I have enough cell components as well? Because if you divide a cell, each new cell needs a Golgi apparatus, each new cell needs a mitochondria, each new cell needs endoplasmatic reticulum. So if the cell components or the cell organelles are not correctly duplicated, then the cell also says, ¿sabes qué? We didn't do a good job. We better kill. We better die because we didn't prepare ourselves correctly. Okay, and that should be enough for you to understand what those cell cycle regulators are. Okay.
I have a question.
Yes, dear.
What does G0 mean?
G0 means G0. Let me go back quickly. I cannot go back anymore. G0 means just, it's a growth phase 0. So that means that the cell, we can see it right here. So growth 1 is when it's still growing. G0 means that it's growth 0. It's not growing anymore. So G0 means at the end of the G phase, a cell can exit the cell cycle when it receives the signal to differentiate. So basically what happens in the G0 phase, it's a cell that decides not to divide, or with other words, a cell that divides not to have any children. It's going to focus on its job, okay? And it's going to do that until it dies. So that's a good example for brain cell, heart cells, because they don't divide so often. They stay in the G0 phase because there is zero growth. They're just focus on their job. And that could be structure or that could be function, okay? A brain cell is function, a heart cell is function, a bone cell is structure. Okay, that's what G0 is about. It's just you could be in a G0 phase if you decide not to have children and you want to have a magnificent career and you're going to be like the president, the first female president of Mexico, and you say it's better that I don't have any children, then you're in the G0 phase because you don't grow. I mean, you grow professionally, but you don't grow like, how to say, you don't reproduce, let's say, okay? Is that clear? Okay, so if that's clear, let's answer this question. What are cell cycle regulators? Who can answer that?
The checkpoints.
Yeah, so it is molecules that have, which task do they have? That control the checkpoints. And ensure that the checklist is well, complete, let's say, because it depends on the phase. In case of any mistake or error, the cell, this is very important that we put this, the cell cycle regulators will push the cell towards apoptosis, okay? So, I mean, that's the answer I would give, but you could also say cell cycle regulators are molecules that play a role in division. What else? Differentiation.
And apoptosis.
And apoptosis. Okay, so there you have like two answers for one. Both are correct. The best differentiation is wrong, I guess. I know it's a common. Okay. Okay, and then number 6, we can also immediately answer that one. So if those cell cycle regulations don't happen don't function properly, what happens?
Apoptosis?
No. Yeah, could happen.
Cancer.
Yeah. A cell, yeah, apoptosis might happen, yeah, but that would be the best outcome, you know, that would that would be perfect. If the cell cycle regulators don't happen, don't function properly, and apoptosis happen, that would be the best case scenario. Apoptosis, or in worst case scenario,
they don't control their reproduction.
yeah, unregulated.
Yeah, exactly.
Cell cycle. And if the cell cycle is unregulated, what you basically get is a possibility of developing cancer. Okay. I mean, guys, there's more answers possible. I just try to answer it as nice as I can. You want to have this document, or you're going to do it on your own again?
We can have it.
That's what I thought. I'll share it with you. I'm sure you want to have it.
But that's not homework, right? Like it just
No. I usually put it as homework, but in fact, I thought like, ya, cálmense, así, ¿sabes? Como ya estuvo bien. Let's do it in a different way than always giving you things to do on your own. It's nice to work on it together. I like it like this. It's to cause a bit variety in our classes, let's say. So let's go to the purple section labeled cell cycle phases, as well as the word mitosis and interphase, to read the overview of the cell cycle. We already did that, so we can quickly answer those questions here. So let's have a look at it. So here, what we call the G1 phase, the S phase, and the G2 phase, this is all part of the interphase, okay? And then the mitosis, we will have next week a whole chapter about mitosis alone. This is how the cell splits into two and becomes two cells. It's a whole other process. But basically, the cell cycle has two big parts, which is the mitosis part, which is the cell splitting into two, and the interphase, which is the G1, the S, and the G2 phase. Okay, we have seen those three phases. The mitosis phase, we're not going to see this week in detail. That's for next week. And then you have this G1, G0 phase for certain cells that that decide not to have children. So cells go through periods of growth and division, and cell divisions occur during when?
Mitosis.
Mitosis.
Yeah. Mitosis or mitosis. Okay, very good. The rest is called interphase. We just saw that. And then here, this is important. I'm not going to fill that in here because you can read that exactly what it says here. When you click on it, you can see exactly what you should write in each of these things. So really keep the link that you know what happens in each phase. Okay. I already told you growth one phase. It's basically the cell is newly born, it's growing, it's getting resources, it makes sure it has enough nutrients in order to start duplicating the DNA. It already duplicates certain of its organelles. S phase is the phase where the DNA is duplicated. That's why it's called S phase, synthesis phase. And in the growth phase 2 is when the cell prepares for division. So it makes sure that it all has its organelles duplicated, it even grows, and it prepares for division. Okay? So this brings us to question number 9. And what is the purpose of a checkpoint in the cell cycle? Who can tell me that?
Make sure it's working properly and that is ready to continue with the cell cycle.
Every phase is completed. Success. Okay. Okay, what is the G0 phase of the cell cycle, and which factors determine whether a cell enters the G0 phase? So which factors determine that? It's the same factors that control the cell cycle checkpoints.
The DNA?
No, the cell cycle regulators.
Sorry.
Cell cycle regulators control in which phase the cell goes. And cell cycle regulators could be growth signals, inhibition signals. There's different kinds of cell cycle regulators. We haven't seen that yet. Inhibitor signals. There is different kinds of signals, okay? but it's the cell cycle regulators that define where whether the cell goes in the G0 phase or not. Now, this is a good question. So what is the G0 phase of a cell cycle? We should write here the G0 phase is yeah, you can help me. In fact, what is the G0 phase if you say it very simple?
Differentiation.
Yeah, differentiation. A cell in differentiation, but the clue word here is
Specialization.
decides not to divide. Okay, that's clue. That's key. Okay, that the cell that does not divide is in the G0 phase. It's a sleepy phase, let's say, sleepy phase, because they don't divide. They just stay doing their function. So another question: can the cells leave the G0 phase? Maybe we should click on this if you want to see that. Miri, many non-dividing, fully differentiated cells in the body, such as neurons and muscle cells, remain in the G0 phase and never re-enter the cycle. Okay, so we have a lot of cells that go in the G0 phase. They focus on their job and they never decide to duplicate again. However, in some tissues, like the liver, if this tissue gets injured or something happens, then certain cells, they can leave the G0 phase and they can still divide, okay? So it's rare, but it can happen. Whenever there is injury of the body really has the necessity to bring the cells back to the normal cell cycle, they can leave the G0 phase. So yes, they can. Yes, they can, for example, con injury. Or serious body stress. There's not only injury or serious body stress. Okay, so yeah, it can happen. Not only injury, but other conditions. Okay. Okay, guys. Now we come to the more complicated part, which we are not gonna do because this is about cancer. And we don't have the time yet to do that because I would like to see some videos about it. But we will go there in the future for sure. So this is, I'm going to share this with you until here. And then about cancer, we do it on a later point. Okay. So this is everything for today. Like I said, we don't go into depth about cancer yet, but what we did today was really understanding this cell cycle, which you see also on my background, okay? So we have like 5 minutes left. I'm gonna share this document in the WhatsApp group, okay? I'm not gonna put it in the, or you want me to put it on Canvas?
WhatsApp.
WhatsApp, I just throw it in the WhatsApp group and then you have it. And you can study from it. And then this last part, yeah, I hope to do it soon because it's very cool. So that's it, guys. Any questions for tomorrow? Just make sure.
My team has a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
There was, like, we're not sure if we got the topic that we wanted on the core activity.
Okay.
How can
no,
we,
but if
like,
I didn't, Ana Pau, I think you're fine because if I didn't say anything, I at least told you, one of your group members, that it was okay. And for me, really, the thing is that I like you to do diverse things and to take things from different countries, but you take whatever you want. I just don't want everybody to have the same thing. That's the only thing. So if you have chosen your thing, don't worry, just go ahead, okay?
okay.
Yeah.
And when do you have to deliver it?
I believe somewhere next week, right?
Yeah, I think it's Friday of.
Friday 23, possibly. I check Canvas. I don't even know. I have so many dates in my head always that I don't want to give numbers because I'm often wrong. But it's always around when the second partial finishes. Okay, but it's
okay.
According to me, you have a little bit more time than after the exam, but it should be mentioned in Canvas. In case there is any mistake with the dates or you're confused about something, don't hesitate to ask me, okay? Because Canvas, I'm still actualizing it. Not everything is perfect. I try to do it as correct as possible, but just let me know. You know that I'm flexible with things if there is some certain mistakes, but I don't think there is mistakes in this one. But anyway, check it, okay?
I do have another question.
Yes,
In the first chart, it says when fill the following chart. In the part of country, there's like 3 filas. We delete the 2 and leave 1 for the country that we select.
Maybe tell it in Spanish because I don't get the question.
Ajá, sí, o sea, hay una tabla, la primera, y viene país, localización y todo eso, ¿no? Pero está dividido en 3 filas.
Okay.
Pero en país vienen 3 filas y como solo elegimos un país, eliminamos las 2 filas y solo dejamos una para...
Sí, yo creo que sí, con uno está bien, o si tú quieres comparar con otro país o algo, si quieres tomar esa iniciativa, también lo puedes hacer. Tú haces como, yo creo que siempre mejor más es mejor, ¿sabes? Como la información más completa posible. Pero yo les pedí hacer un país nada más, entonces si te quieres enfocar en eso, está bien. ¿Sí?
Gracias.
Okay. All right. So if that's everything, we can leave it here.
Do we have to study what we saw today for tomorrow's exam?
Sorry, Rafael?
Do we have to study what we saw today for tomorrow's exam?
No, that's not in the guide, and I never put on the exam subjects that are not finished. So we just introduced the cell cycle. This year, not going to study. You're do everything until Friday, last Friday, which is about biotechnology and the DNA and stuff. That's the last thing you study. All right?
Yes.
Okay. Well, good luck for tomorrow. Make sure that your computer works, and yeah, we'll see each other tomorrow. Okay?
I have a question, teacher.
Yes, go ahead.
Since I can't attend the class tomorrow, what time will I be taking the exam on Friday?
That's something more personal, Isabella, but you cannot take it in the, yeah, you should take it in the lesson of Friday, I think is the best.
Okay.
Yeah?
Okay, thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
So
Bye.
we'll share the document with you.
teacher.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Teacher, I have a question.
Yes, go.
The other day that I heard the whole speech your wife gave us, I was really interested, and I recommended her to the Sons debate, you know, like the one who collaborates.
Okay.
And I wanted to know if I could get her contact so they could contact her to see if she's available or if she will be interested in like being one of the speakers in the event.
In which event is this, dear?
It's a debate, like MUN simulation from Colegio Americano.
Yeah, sure. I'll ask her. You send me a message, and then I'll ask her if she's willing to do that. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye bye.
Bye.